I don't know. Maybe. Never mind. My fault.
All right, we are here. Okay, we're live, everybody. Thank you for joining us for the first ever Have You Met from the Underdogs community here at our Underground Music Collective. I've got my whole control room here. I'm actually coming to you from my phone. And my name's Gerard Longo. I'm the founder and CEO of Underground Music Collective. I'm, as we say in the community, or at least as I filled out my bio, the face that runs the place. And we're joined by three of our next to rise artists here on the call. We got Kelsey Muse on the line. We also have Nicolas Soul on the line. And we're going to have Jazzy the Uncontrolled Goddess joining us in a little bit as well. And we're going to get to know these folks. We're going to get to know what they do and why they do it, right? But first, I just want to get this part out of the way. We've got an amazing community we're building here at Underground Music Collective, and it's called the Underdogs community. I just switched to a slide you'll see there. And so we're doing a founding member discount until we have 100 members. You get to join us for just $25 a month, $250 for the year, which is of course 2 months free if you sign up for the year. Scan that QR code there, you get access to the community, you get access to be featured in opportunities like this. And we actually decided today we're also going to do these Have You Met on a regular basis for the public, because we want you to know who we are, we want you to know what we're doing, and we want to encourage you just the same to tap in. So we're really excited about this. Scan that QR code. I'll bring that back up a couple times later. I don't want to spend too much time trying to sell you memberships. I want to get to these interviews. I want to get to these conversations. And of course, at the end, too, we're going to have time for questions. And you can put those questions in the chat. But first up, we're going to welcome onto the screen, onto the stage, into your hearts, Mr. Nicolas Soul joining us. So, Nick, you're up. Thanks for joining.
Hey, no, thanks for having me, bro. I'm very excited for this opportunity and just being here. So I appreciate y'all, man.
Absolutely excited to have you here and excited to dive into everying that you're doing. And it is a lot. You are truly a Renaissance man, which is fitting because you are the architect of the Renaissance.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, I'll give you a chance to talk about what that means. So tell us a little bit about yourself as an artist, as an entrepreneur. What do you got going on?
Yeah, so as far as artistry, I started my artist journey in 2012. That's when I made like my first project. That fast forwards into 2017, where I created New Renaissance in college with one of my best friends, Shiki. And then fast forward to 2023, when I created Renaissance Certified, which is my digital music community. That's kind of been like the journey of like my artistry, and like I guess kind of like the different points where I like started adding more to my plate, or just seeing the larger picture of what I wanted to do.
And so you get to come at it from the artist perspective, from the creative entrepreneur perspective, and bring all those things into the mix, right? So not only are you focusing on your own artistry, but you're also focusing on creating for others. And what I want to know is, how does one inform the other? So how does your artistry inform your other creative endeavors, and vice versa?
I feel like my artistry like was the jump off like point for all these others endeavors. So like you start doing something because like you like genuinely love it, and then like you learned, okay, so if I want to do this on a grander scale, on a bigger level, I got to add these certain elements into it. Like for example, when I first made my first song, like that I put on streaming, I was like, oh, I got to find somebody to like make the cover, I got to find somebody to like do all these different things to package the song. But then I was like, wait, if I learn these skills myself, I'll have these skills. And so that kind of turned into me being like, okay, now let me compound that into like a business with New Renaissance, where I was like, okay, now I can provide other services and also do my own things through that company. And whenever you're thinking from an artist mindset, is like there's a certain point where you understand that it's like a business as well. Like you're a small business as an artist. And so that's when you start, kind of trying to figure out different ways to help your small business, essentially.
Absolutely. And I think that's such an important point for anybody starting their creative journey, no matter what their creative medium, their artistic medium is. There are just aspects to being a business owner and an entrepreneur that we just can't ignore, right? We say in the music industry all the time, your band is your brand. And I think like, if you said that to people a decade ago, they wouldn't react as well as they do now. But I think it's a much more widely accepted thing, right, in this creative space, because the truth is we have more power, we have more control over our fates as creatives than we ever have. And it's a matter of what do we do with that power? What do we do to create an ecosystem around what we do? And rarely do you see an artist just have one lane that they're in. You're a musician and a photographer, you're a musician and a speaker, a podcast
Facts.
host.
Facts.
And you actually are a podcast host as well. And I want to, of course, highlight that. The
Yeah.
Certified Lounge, you just finished recording a few new episodes that we're going to
Yeah.
get to see here and experience soon. So tell us
Yeah.
a little bit about the Certified Lounge.
Yeah, so Certified Lounge started the top of this year, and we kind of just wanted to come. So we have the biannual shows, one in spring and then one in fall. And so we wanted to have more of a presence between the space of those shows, because it's like we're gone for a really long time whenever we do the shows, because they're such a big undertaking. But we wanted to do something consistent throughout the year where it's like, okay, one, you still see us, but then also two, we get to highlight more artists. It's like a win-win. And we wanted to split it into something where it could be like a general entrepreneurial like kind of talk too. That's why we had like comedian DJ Pryor. That's why we had Matthew Mims, like this professional wrestler. So we want to show like there's different like lanes too. And like just tap into those minds. And so yeah, it was really Samaria who had like headed it and speared the campaign for Certified Lounge, and then we like all together collectively, me, Amori, and Samaria, we all just started working towards that idea, and it became what it became. And now I'm really excited for season two, now that we are done shooting season one, because there's going to be a lot of improvements coming in season two that I'm going to, kind of get together before the fall. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's
And I
sorry.
think
I didn't mean to blab off. My fault.
no, 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 no. I think you touch on something really important there. And that's the fact that no matter what lane you're coming from, we all go through similar journeys in the fact, with respect to the fact that we all start from zero, right? And we're all building a thing from the ground up. Whatever that thing is, like there are lessons that we learn along the way. So, what I want to ask you, Nick, is what are some of, or perhaps the one most important lesson that you've learned to this point on the creative journey that if you could go back and you can impart that upon your younger self or somebody just starting theirs, that they would benefit from?
I would say just keep going on the journey. That's one of the lessons that like is easy to say but hard to internalize, especially for me. But I say that to say like there's been a lot of times in the journey and like being an artist, being an entrepreneur, where you can like the same old thing like everybody says, it's like there's highs and lows. But I feel like for me, what I've been understanding is like it's kind of like the algorithm. This is what I compare life to. It's like the algorithm. There's highs and lows. There's points where the algorithm will really like love you and like push your stuff out, and then you might get higher like engagement. That's kind of how I feel about life sometimes. It's like sometimes your energy can be received, sometimes it won't be received, but like you got to maintain that still of just keeping going on your journey and remembering, oh, this is my mission. Like my mission is to set this up because I believe in these fundamental things about this thing that I'm setting up. Like with Certified Lounge, Renaissance Certified, everything that I'm doing, I believe that like this will be something that's useful to the creative community. And like I want to like continue to push that and like build on that, because it's like especially now, I feel like a lot of creativity and stuff is like it's more easier than ever to do it, but it's also being like kind of like taken away in a way with the AI like stuff. So I say that to say, yeah, like I would just say keep going, because you just learn more about like yourself on the journey too. Like that helps you equip
Mm.
you. It equips you to like just be a better player, and I guess a better like you understand the algorithm better. So.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important to keep in mind that there's no finish line. You stay on the journey for as long as you want to stay on the journey, for as
Facts.
long as you stay on life's journey, if you so
Yeah.
choose. And, the triumphs are not necessarily the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? Like,
Facts.
and the low points don't need to be the end unless you choose for that to be the end. And that
Yeah.
just reminds me of something that I put in this book, 60 plus lessons from a creative journey. That question sponsored by my new book, available now on Amazon. Shane Ingram's Spark. Sorry,
That's
I had
good.
to do that.
No,
It's
that's
sitting right there on my
great.
desk. You're saying that, I'm looking right at it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna sneak in a little cheap plug here every time I
That's
ask somebody
actually
that
great.
question to them.
That's how you
Yeah,
do
I
that,
mean,
though. Facts.
yeah. It didn't feel like too hard of a sell. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. I want to ask you a question about AI really quick because obviously, as somebody who's also a content creator as
Yeah.
well as a musician, like a lot of implications there, and perhaps a lot of
Yeah.
concerns there. So, what's your take on what's happening with AI right now?
Man, it's like a love-hate relationship because with every new because I'm also like I grew up my whole life loving tech too. Like I grew up my whole life watching like Marcus Brownlee, like the tech YouTuber, and just like being really like loving like whenever the first iPhone came out, and I was like not having like any phone at this point in life, like just the concept of touchscreen was crazy to me. And so I say that fast forward to like now, like it's like content creation and being able to like I want to I want AI to be able to have a marriage with content creation and artists and us not have like this weird like people start stealing, people start doing like content copyright stuff where it's just like a weird cesspool of just like bad sportsman-like stuff from a creative standpoint. Like I want to like believe that that can exist, but I also know that with every new technology there's good things and bad things that come into it. So it's like I like I have the optimism that AI is gonna overall, at collectively net good, be like something that actually helps artists, and then more people that want to be artists who don't have like certain capabilities, they can combine like just their capabilities of what they understand on how to create the AI stuff and build like a world. And so I like that it adds more creativity and makes that more accessible to people who aren't as creative. But then also as an artist, there's a side of me that's like, dang, I don't want like the negative aspects of it to like overshadow the potential that it could bring to the creativity. You get what I'm saying?
I do,
Yeah.
and it just reminds me of like the advent of social media too, right?
Yeah.
And when I mean, our brains just were not ready to have these tools at our disposal, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden we have contact with literally anybody in the world, and for better or worse, right? Especially with taking certain behaviors and election cycles into account.
Right.
Like it's one of those things where like you have to learn how to navigate it, and there's always going to be that learning curve. And I think the same thing goes with AI, right? Like
Yeah.
there's obviously been so much debate, particularly around copyright and what's legal work and what's not, and what's allowed and what can be copyrighted, what can't be copyrighted.
Yeah.
And that's a moving target, and it's gonna be, and it's always gonna be, because there are always gonna be new ways, new technologies, but also new loopholes that people try to find, right?
Oh,
And so we just have to be on our toes about it. We have to respond accordingly
yeah.
and always think about, okay, how are these tools going to do the most good? And there's definitely a place for AI as a supplemental thing. I have my own opinions as far as like using it to create. I don't necessarily love that because I believe
Mhm.
creation should be authentic to the person creating.
Facts.
But there's a place for it, and it definitely can
Yeah.
automate some things and make life easier for us as creatives and as
Yeah.
business owners. So we'll we'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there. I think like I think we both acknowledge it's a moving target. It's like we have to just we've got to kind of roll with it and figure it out.
Yeah.
And Nick, I want to thank you, of course, for being here. And of course, stick
Thank
around to the end because we're going to open it up for questions. And if you have any questions for Nick or any of our other Next to
you.
Rise artists, please leave those in the comments. We'll get to them at the end. But Nick, before we switch and let Kelsey have a turn, I want to give you an opportunity to let people know where they can learn more about you, your
Yeah.
Renaissance, Certified Lounge, all the things.
Yeah, so all our social media is at NRNSZN. That's New Renaissance Season. So NRNSZN, and that's also our website handle. So if you go to www.nrnszn.com, that's where you can find where our next showcase is going to be, which is April 26th. That's coming up, and we're about to actually start promoting that. But also, we have Certified Lounge, the season finale coming up this month. I'm actually finishing up editing episode 3, so hang tight with me, y'all. It's been a long month. But I say that to say that's really all I got for now. But yeah, tap in with us because I'm really excited about the community that we're building in Nashville and like just everybody that I've got to meet on this journey. And I think is gonna like this next showcase is gonna kind of be the jump off point. So I'm excited.
Me too. Me too. Excited to have you a part of our community, Nick, and excited to be a part of yours. Stick
I,
around to the end. Also, I saw the comment. There was some bad reverb in the beginning. I think I fixed it because no one else has complained. I realized I left the mic on in OBS, which I'm running on my laptop, and we didn't need me talking twice. So that's probably what was causing the issue. If there are any other audio issues, let me know that in the comments as well as any questions you have for our creatives. Now we're going to switch over to Kelsey Muse, who's joining us here. Kelsey, also an artist with a show coming up, a pretty big one in Nashville on April the 12th. But Kelsey, how are we doing tonight?
Hey, what's up? Thank you, UMC.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being one of our Next Rise artists and a part of our community here at Underground Music Collective. And so, same beginning questions I asked Nick. Who are you? What do you got going on? What should we know about you starting off here?
Yeah, I'm Kelsey Muse, and my sound is like urban pop, hip hop. I'm a songwriter, recording artist. In the background of things, I work as a makeup artist, film assistant, just really just anything within film and creative production areas for that. Right now, I'm gearing up to release my new single called Whispers. That's going to be released right at the beginning of summer. And then I have a show coming up April 12th, Controlville 3 in Nashville. So you'll get an exclusive performance of that unreleased single at that show.
And of course, we're going to break more into what we can expect from the new single, from the show. But first, I want to ask you, like everybody in our community, it seems, you wear a lot of hats and you juggle a lot of different roles within the creative space. So what I want to know is, how do you keep it all in balance?
That's been a word that is stuck with me because I was in music, more of a musical family growing up, and then was doing music professionally at age 14. So I was already young in the game doing music, and I was writing songs at 8, 9, 10 years old. So my first instruments were piano and guitar, so just built from there into TV and film. And I was very into the early stages when YouTube was coming out. As a young age, I was into all the early stages of podcasting. So when I was able to get into the TV show series, that's where it was like my first, you could say, entrepreneurial opportunity to integrate all those different aspects of the character of the artist and what I had going on in the background at 16 years old at the time. So it's definitely not something you just choose and pick. Some of those gifts that you have can be in you, it's just in a natural way to a natural extent. So there's that element. And then the balance came in for me as I got older, and you still got to go through your same growing pains and stages while still doing music, while still staying relevant and learning to kind of mold and go with the ebbs and flows up and down in the industry. So balance was a reoccurring theme.
So I think it always is and always will be for all of us because, there's also, in addition to all the creative pursuits, balancing life and the dream, right? Like, of course we have all these ambitions and all these projects we're working on, but we're also still people. And, we have to show up for ourselves and, make sure that we're giving the most to ourselves so we're not pouring from an empty cup. So our cup is full and running over. What do you like to do to pour back into yourself so you have all of this to give to your creative pursuits?
A reminder for me is just like at the end of the day, I know who I am. I know what my purpose is. So that
Mm-hmm.
was like through the ups and downs, it was like, man, no matter what, this is what you love to do. This is what you're called to do. And there's a purpose for it. So it's not spending so much time focusing on that negative energy per se, or the situations where you're told no all the time, you know. And then you get a couple of no's and then a bunch of yeses and then one no and two no's, you know, and then you get three yeses. So going through all that balance, you know, it was just trying to understand more of what your question is. Can you repeat?
Yeah. So basically, what I'm asking is, how do you pour in yourself? How do you make sure you make time for Kelsey so Kelsey
Yeah,
has
you know,
time to give to all this?
right. So knowing who I am, and reminding myself of that. Never, never be intimidated by fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
And in an age where technology is growing rapidly, there's always a new app, there's always a new system to tackle or to get to know. So that was very much know who you are, and then don't be afraid to get to know a new system, or as it's evolving, how does Kelsey Muse apply in this arena? So that helped grounded me, make sure I'm just tackling that fear head on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think fear is such an important topic because we all have fears that, you know, come through as we're pushing ourselves to achieve new things. We're pushing ourselves to discover new lanes. How has your relationship with fear developed over time? You know, again, you started so young, you know, in the entertainment industry and all the way to now. Like, is there an evolution that's taken place there?
I think it was the best way for me was just not staying stagnant. So adding to the skill set, or um, even getting a random hobby or an off the wall job uh, to kind of refresh, you know, the ideas and the progress you're making, you know. Um, so it was like stagnation. If I started feeling stagnant then, or hitting a plateau, it was time to review or re-examine things.
Hmm. 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 Now, I want to talk, of course, about the forthcoming single that you mentioned. And of course, we'll be celebrating that April 12th at 11 Exile as part of Control the Bill. But tell us a little bit about it, the creative process, what we can expect.
Yeah, so the upcoming single is called Whispers. This would be like the extension of my latest single, Sunglasses, which is streaming on all platforms, and you can hear that now. So this is within that brand and production palette of what I'm currently creating. I've also been in several different genres in the past. So this is a step forward in what I've been creating the past couple of years that I feel like is more authentically my sound vocally and production wise. So Whispers is talking about being in some of the most unlikely or random situations and sticking out, and sometimes knowing why and sometimes not knowing why. But doesn't this look good though? You know, don't it look good? Okay. So that's what Whispers is talking about.
Hmm. Hmm. And of course, you know, being in those situations, a lot of times you are given no choice but to lean into your individuality and lean into exactly who you are authentically. What does that authenticity mean to you?
Authenticity means to me is, there's so many cliche words to say. I'm trying to say it differently now. So it's definitely unapologetic. But I think even when sometimes you do things authentically and it's a success, and then sometimes you do it authentically and it's a miss. So it's like when those times where it's a miss, it's going back to what's my purpose and goal of it, and did I just veer off? But just being able to pick yourself back up and not staying in that too long. So yeah.
Hmm. I love it. I love it. And so we also acknowledge the Control the Ville show coming up April 12th at Love and Exile in East Nashville. These are pretty big shows. Like Cruise Control Media has been doing a few of these around town. And yeah, that whole team is so dedicated to what they do and very much purpose driven. And they create great experiences. And so, what does it mean to you to be part of one of those experiences? And tell us a little more about what you've got in store for us.
Yeah, so it's been refreshing. Definitely met some familiar faces and a lot of new faces. So I'm really excited because it's diverse. I'm think I'm one of two females, so that's cool. And I'm performing. We're all performing individual showcases with 3 judges and big crowd participation. So anybody who's coming to the show has their vote. So real important, stay till the end. Get to see everybody performing. You can get discounted tickets by reaching out to me. But it's been an exciting process because everyone loves doing what they do and they're good at it. So it's when you get those people all in a group together, man, who knows, what type of momentum or outcome that could be. And teamwork is important, and it's a lot easier said than done. So it's cool to see a lot of teamwork with it, excitement, new sounds, big energy. It's going to be a party.
And community, of course, being so central to the entire experience. And it's April 12th, Love and Exile. It's a day party, too. We were joking via email. I'm so glad it's over by 7 o'clock because the middle-aged man in me, which is just me at this point, gets to be home before dark. So no excuse. It's not going to be too late.
You still got something else to do. You can still go do it. Come to the day party, get some pre-gaming in, get started with us.
Beautiful afternoon in Nashville coming up. Good Saturday afternoon, April 12th. And so now I'm going to ask you the sponsored question that I asked Nick, sponsored by 60 Plus Lessons from the Creative Journey. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned along your creative journey? Maybe it's one we've covered, maybe it's one we haven't, that you would go back and teach little Kelsey back when you were at the start.
Don't be intimidated by the grown adults telling you what to do.
I love it. I love it. And that's a very important lesson.
Stick to your brand idea. Don't be afraid to pivot, but always stick to your brand idea. Stick to who you are.
And I think there's wisdom in any age, right? Because we've all heard advice from people way older than us who maybe didn't know what they were talking about, right? So what's wise is what's true to you and what's true to your values. And so I love that you said that, because there's a certain fearlessness that I think comes with standing up in that way, right? So I think it's a very important lesson, Kelsey. Thank you so much for giving that to us. Thank you for joining us. Hope you'll stick around to the end. Of course, everybody in the comments, ask questions. If you got any questions for any of our Next Rise artists here tonight on Have You Met? Let us know. But in the meantime, Kelsey, where can we learn more about you?
Follow me on Instagram, Kelsey Muse Music. YouTube, Kelsey Muse. Definitely subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Between Instagram and YouTube, you will get the latest, hottest updates. So connect with me on there first. I'm on all major streaming platforms, Apple Music, Spotify. You can follow me on X, Kelsey Muse Music as well. And I hope I see you there.
All right. Make sure you're there April 12th. Love and Exile, Control the Ville, featuring Kelsey Muse. We got one more Next Rise artist coming up tonight on Have You Met? But before we get to that, just going to throw this out there for you. If you want to be part of our community or perhaps featured on Have You Met? I hope you'll consider joining our UnderDogs community at Underground Music Collective. We just launched it. We have a founding member discount going on until we have 100 tried and true UnderDogs in our community. And we are starting to close in on that number. We're getting closer. So you definitely want to scan that QR code. You get all of this. You get feature opportunities, eligibility for the Next Rise class of 2026, and plenty more. I guess now I have to check the checkbox that says, is there product placement in this YouTube video? But that's fine. please consider joining our Underdogs community. We are connecting creatives like the ones you see before you to an entire world, and I do mean world, of creativity. Jazzy, the Uncontrolled Goddess, going to be joining us here in right about now. Jazzy, how we doing?
All is well. Hey, Nick. Hey, Kelsey. All is well.
Hey,
Excited to.
Jazzy.
Jazzy, we're excited to have you. And of course, very excited to learn more about what you do as a coach, as a poet, as a speaker. And so I'll let you speak on that and tell us a little more about it and, what informs your work and your journey.
All right. So just to summarize it, yes, I am a poet, I am a writer, I am an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a certified mindset coach. All of it involves my words. So the foundation of everything I do is dealing with words. I'm able to touch people from different walks of life, different facets, just all around based off of my messages that I share. So I actually been writing poetry since I was 8 years old, but I didn't start performing until 2009. And when I performed, it was based off a dare. So it was purpose on purpose, but yet it was an accident. So from that point, when I received feedback from the crowd, it completely amazed me because prior to that, I was terrified to speak in public. I was not performing my poetry. A lot of people didn't even know that I even wrote poetry. So up until that point, I was pretty much in my shell, and that completely transformed my entire life to where now I'm speaking in front of crowds. I'm doing workshops, doing speaking engagements, I'm doing spoken word events. So, but my journey has been one, and it is continuing to flourish, and I'm here for it all. Oh, and soon to be podcaster.
Soon to be podcaster. Ooh, that's news. I didn't even know that. All right. So can't wait to hear that. Jazzy, you have such a way with words, and that's another reason I can't wait for the podcast. And we were talking before this, and you used the phrase inner standing multiple times in our conversation, and it hooked me. And I was just so curious to learn more about what that means. So, from your position, what can you tell us about how you found your inner standing and what that means to you?
So understanding, of course, we hear the word understanding a lot. But if we look at it, we're underneath something. So when it comes to ourselves and our journey and our mission and our overall existence in life, it comes from within. So if you don't have inner standing for self, you won't even know who you are. You will be walking around here full of uncertainty, doubt, confusion. So in my journey, my understanding of self, it took me to disconnect in order to reconnect. I mean, literally, I left the state of Tennessee for 2 years to understand myself on what my purpose was, what I liked, what I didn't like, my boundaries, what I accept, what I don't accept, my self-worth. Like, what do I actually have to offer to the world? And that all comes within. Anything that we think that we seek, it actually comes from within. And everything else is just an outer reflection of the reality that we created.
Absolutely. And you've created such a wonderful reality, such a multifaceted reality for yourself where you're able to impact other folks who are looking for that understanding. And of course, you're juggling a lot. And now there's a podcast that's coming soon. So, how do you keep it all in balance? How do you make sure that not only all of these components to your platform get the love that they need, but that you get the love that you need?
I literally can sit in silence for hours. I meditate. I get caught up in my thoughts to a point where I'm not even thinking. I enjoy writing. I do a lot of journaling, whether it's just free thought journaling, or if I have a journal prompt, or if I'm writing poetry, something that is going to keep me in a creative space. And then also, I'm very drawn to water. So anytime I feel completely disconnected and I can't understand what's going on, and a lot of times we have to remember that may not even be our energy. So we have to really be able to understand ourselves to know what belongs to us and if it generated from us. So when I'm feeling completely just scattered, I go to the lake and I can literally sit there for hours and just gaze into the magnitude of abundance and the beauty of life and creation and just tap out, but in a good way.
One thing that I definitely want to touch on as well, because I know you and I have talked about this, is the concept of just kind of keeping in mind how we create and why we do it, right? And so what I want to know, and this is a question that we've got a chance to explore together as well, is why do you create? Why is it important to you to put this work out there and to create this understanding in other people?
I feel like one of my purpose in life is to go through the darkness and the shadows so I can reach and pull people into the light with me to say, hey, you know, I've dealt with low self-esteem, I've dealt with lack of confidence, I've dealt with domestic violence, I've dealt with just uncertainty, I've dealt with bad relationships, but yet here I am still able to show up for myself because I have understanding. And now I can look at you and say, hey, I know it's dark right now. However, there is light. Like, let me allow you to come into my space of healing in order for you to tap within as well.
Mm. Is there somebody maybe whom you've worked with or just from your life who's really inspired you on this path?
Yes, absolutely. I always give credit to my father. My father is the most amazing, phenomenal being that I had the pleasure to cross paths with. And my father actually is a writer as well. So a lot on my father's side of the family, there's a lot of writers and a lot of poets. And he just basically instilled a lot of great qualities and values into me. You know, he's always uplifting, he's always encouraging, he always taught all of us to be kind to people. Like we, you know, if we didn't get anything from any of his teachings, he always made sure that we treated people properly with kindness. And so I want to make sure I always live by that. Anybody I come in contact with, I want to make them feel a certain way. I want them to know that they are loved. Like I don't even have to love you excuse me, know you to love you. That's embedded in me, and I definitely give credit to my father for that. Absolutely.
And I love that. And I think that's a beautiful way to approach it. Approach life and our new interactions from a place of love instead of fear. Now, as we acknowledge with Kelsey, too, you know, fear is something that we all have to overcome on a creative journey as we take new leaps and try new things. How has your relationship with fear evolved?
Again, I was terrified. Prior to 2009, you have not caught me anywhere in public. Like I grew up terrified with the teachers, like, please don't call on me. Like I never raised my hand. I didn't want any parts of that. I was extremely shy, terrified of life, terrified to do new things. But what I found out with fear, what we're afraid of is the unknown. But everything is unknown until we do it. So now I don't even use the word, I don't even like the word fear. Everything is an experience. Either you're going to experience it or you're not. But everything is unknown until. So my journey with fear has paralyzed me. It has crippled me to fulfill a lot of my, my goals. So now it's just like fear. What is fear? Like, no, I don't accept that. I don't accept that. Mm-mm, I don't
I
accept.
love that, and I think it holds us back from a lot of things when we let the fear rule us, right? And it can manifest itself in a number of ways, including procrastination. You know, putting things off. You know, rolling those words eventually and someday into our vocabulary, and that's a great segue because the words eventually and someday left my vocabulary in writing this book, 60 plus lessons from the creative journey. And so now I'm going to ask you the question. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned that you'd go back and teach that version of yourself pre 2009?
Show up for yourself. It's okay to speak up for yourself. It's okay to have a voice. It's okay to have a voice for other people. Like you are worthy enough to be heard. Like what you have to say is important.
Absolutely. And it is. And so you, of course, have some opportunities to say it here coming up. And I want to give you a chance to shine a light on what you're currently working on. Where can we check out your work? Where can we see it coming up here, Jazzy?
All right. So I'm caught slipping on that, but I do have two. I have several books that I published, but my two latest poetry books is Poetic Justice and Life Goes On. And Life Goes On is a Tupac-inspired poetry book. They are on Amazon. If you would just search Uncontrolled Goddess, my books will pop up. I am working on an EP, and it's been years since I've actually been in the studio. So I'm working with a producer. Her name is Queen of Vibes. We have a release date set for June the 25th. So I'm getting ready to be back in the studio working on that. Also, this Sunday, I'm partnering with Just Play. I'm doing a mindset workshop. The name of the event is called Good Vibes Only. Then also on April the 5th, Clemmy G's Community Day at Halley Park. I'm speaking, I'm doing some poetry for that event. Then April the 6th, I'm partnering up with Soraya. She does shamanic drumming. And so we're doing a journaling and drumming workshop, which is going to be absolutely amazing. We're just combining words with sounds and healing, all of that good stuff come together. And I feel like I'm forgetting something else, but if I am, it will eventually be posted on my social media. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok under Mindset Coach Jazzy. I am also on Facebook under Jazzy Goddess. It's one word, and then Mindset.
So many things coming up, so many ways to tap in with Jazzy and her work, so many different experiences you're creating as well. Certainly, living up to the name, Jazzy the Uncontrolled Goddess, because you are a force to be reckoned with, creating all kinds of things in just a flurry of creativity. So happy to have you. And thanks for joining us, Jazzy. Thanks everyone for joining us. We got a few minutes left. Televised Movement says, love all these creatives. Thanks for this opportunity to get to know them a little better. I've learned things about everybody here tonight, and that's a joy for me and a joy to be here and sharing this with you all over YouTube and with you all over here, our next to rise artists. Before we go, a couple things. I want to leave room for questions at the end if anybody on the watching has any questions, but also just one more appeal to the masses. If you want to be featured on a Have You Met series of interviews, you can consider joining the UnderDogs, our new community serving creatives here in Nashville and everywhere else. This is what you get for being a founding member. The first 100 members get to be founding members, and you get all of this for just $25 a month, $250 for the year. Of course, that means you get 2 months free if you sign up for the year. Every year, if you scan that QR code, you get to tap in with our community of creatives, which is growing every day. And these folks are a part of it. All the folks you saw here on this broadcast are our next to rise artist ambassadors, a few of them anyway. There are more, and we'll be rolling those out, interviews with those folks here coming up. Genesis says, thanks for all the great advice and looking forward to tuning in to you all. And Genesis, thank you as well for the note on the audio before. Glad we fixed it for you. And I guess if there are no questions, I'll give everybody a chance to give us their socials one more time where they can learn more about us online. I'll give ours, and then we'll let y'all go for the night. So let's start in the order by which we came. Nick, where can we learn more about you?
Sorry, I was muted. But you can learn more about me at www.nrnszn.com. That's www.nrnszn.com. Thank y'all, man.
Mm-hmm. Kelsey, how about you? Where can we learn more?
You can follow me on Instagram at Kelsey Muse Music. You can follow me on YouTube, Kelsey Muse. And you can follow me on TikTok, Kelsey Muse Music. And then X is going to be Kelsey Muse.
All right. And Jazzy, one more time for the people at home.
Yes. So Instagram and TikTok, it is Mindset Coach Jazzy. Facebook, it is Jazzy Goddess, one word, and then Mindset.
And you can find Underground Music Collective at umcworldwide.com. That is brand new. umcnashville.com, of course, redirects there as well. Also, UMC Worldwide on Instagram. That's our main social media handle. And the UMC UnderDogs community community.umcnashville.com. I'm going to update that to the new domain shortly. We just got UMC Worldwide yesterday. I'm very excited about it. Also, the Quinn Spin podcast. If you liked hearing me talk and want to hear me talk more, 2 N's in Quinn, 2 N's in Spin. That's on all your favorite streaming platforms as well on this very YouTube channel. And of course, just want to give another cheap plug for 60 plus lessons from the creative journey, a handy guide for the budding entrepreneur, my debut book out now. And if you want to follow me for updates on all those things and the occasional photo of my cat or fitness thirst trap at Gerard Longo 12. I want to thank you all for joining. I want to thank our guests, Nicolas Soul, Kelsey Muse, Jazzy the Uncontrolled Goddess for joining us. Big shout out to Joe Boz at Ether Collective, who has been so important to the growth of the UMC UnderDogs community. And we're building something great here. Hope you'll be a part of it. And we'll see you next time to see if you've met the members of our community.
Bye. Dun, 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 dun.
Awesome. This